We will email everybody out a copy of the press release and a copy of the beauty shot of the box art with everything that goes with it. There are 3+ hours of bonus features inside. There is a collectible Batmobile. There's all kinds of goodies. There are memoirs from Adam West. You name it, we've got everything good. Lots of behind-the-scenes features. So, as you know, we're having a panel at 6 o'clock tonight from Hall H. We also have a call out for the commissioner, apparently, of San Diego. Chief Shelley Zimmerman would like to have a word with our own Batman. Chief?
Thank you very much. Batman, I need your help. I need your help, Batman.
You've got it, dear. Just point me.
There are evil people out there in even more evil cities. Those evil cities are trying to take Comic-Con away from Gotham, away from San Diego. We can't let that happen, Batman. I need your help. Those evil cities, Las Vegas, evil. Anaheim, evil. Los Angeles, so very evil.
Oh, Lordy, you're right.
Batman, I don't have a bat signal. It's 2014, but I have something better. My official police chief, Commissioner Point. Take it, Batman. I'll call you. I'll signal you with the point right here. But if that doesn't work, I need your cell phone number. Thank you, Batman. Together, I know we can do this. I know we can do it. Thank you, Batman.
Yes, you're right, and I thank you, and I'm available.
Thank you, Chief.
Gosh, I wish my hometown would drop it like that.
So I'm just going to ask a couple of generic questions right off the top. It's been nearly 50 years since the series, and you guys finally have this coming out for home entertainment. What does that mean to you? Anyone can lead, but Batman usually stuns.
Sorry, I couldn't see you. What did you ask?
How about this? You guys start. Who's got a question for this trio? Yes.
Burt Ward, I have been reading your autobiography.
And you're still willing to come here?
Are you okay? And you got hurt a lot. Can you watch those old episodes without feeling the pain of all those stunts that they made you do? Like, do you get pain in your leg when you watch, some of those?
Well, I have been suffering recently from a severe pain in the ass and a swollen ego, but other than that, no, I enjoyed the show. It was really dangerous to make the show. I had no idea. I was a young kid. It was the first day of filming. I came in on the set at about 7 o'clock in the morning, got in my costume, and they said, Bert, the very first shot is going to be the scene that's going to become the opening of every show where the Batmobile comes out of the Batcave very fast, makes a left turn, the sign goes down, and we drive off. I said, okay, great. And I got in my costume, which was, I'm telling you, you wouldn't want to be in a costume. Not like that. Especially 14 hours a day. But I got in the Batmobile, and I looked over, and I was expecting to see Adam, but he wasn't there. Instead, there was another gentleman dressed as Batman, and I said, well, who are you? He says, my name is Hubie. And I said, oh, well, why isn't Adam West here? He says, well, I'm a stuntman. This is a very dangerous stunt. That's why they're using me and not using Adam, because they don't want him to get hurt. I said, oh, well, that's nice. I said, well, wait a minute, why is it so dangerous? He said, we got to come out at 55 miles an hour, we're going to make a sharp left turn, the sign's got to go down, everything's got to work perfectly, and, it is just a dangerous shot. So I thought about that, and then as they started to roll the camera, I said, excuse me, wait a minute. I called over the assistant director, and I said, I don't understand, but that's stuntman for Adam, but they don't have a stuntman for me. I said, don't I have a stuntman? He said, yes, you do. He's over having coffee with Adam West. I said, why is it that he's not sitting here instead of me? He says, oh, because he doesn't look like him. I said, well, wait a minute. Why didn't you hire somebody that would look like me that's a stuntman? I said, you couldn't find anybody, so you got to do your own stunts. And that was the first of 5 out of the 6 days that I went to the emergency hospital. In this case, the car came out 55 miles an hour. They made a sharp left turn, but unexpectedly, my door flew open. As my door flew open, the centrifugal force was throwing me out, and I reached over and caught my little finger on the gear shift knob, which held me in the car, but pulled my finger out of the socket. knocked over the lights, the camera guys got knocked over, and they rushed over afterward and they said, "Bert, are you all right?" I said, "Yes," except my hand, which had swollen up twice the size, and they said, "Look, we got to get you to the hospital." I said, "Great, because I'm in a lot of pain. We'll do that just as soon as we get to shot." And that was like 3 hours later. So that was the first of my experiences, and it was pretty wild on Batman. Very dangerous show to make. I'm going to add one thing. Near the end of the series, they took out a life insurance policy on me, and I swear by the last 2 episodes, I thought they were trying to collect.
Jamie, what do you got?
Good afternoon. Great to talk to all of you. For Adam and Bert, you got to work with, in addition to Ms. Marks, fantastic, legendary, iconic actors and artists on the show. Liberace, Bruce Lee, Vincent Price, Milton Berle. Do you have any memories of working with them, and who was your favorite?
Oh, we have so many memories. I mean, we have many great stars. And Julie, I have great memories of working with you. We just let that laugh. You wanted to say something, Julie, about working with me?
Drop dead, gorgeous, addressed. He's got great lips. When I look at the film, you see what I mean. He wears his mask and everything. Particularly in that soda sipping scene with the straw when I fall in love with you. The writing part too.
Yeah. You know, you can get away with so much in that costume. Julie was a marvelous Catwoman. She has the world's tallest legs. And, you know, there was a sexual tension that had to be created between Catwoman and Batman to make it, you know, really interesting to the adults. We did the show on several levels, as you know, and that's, I think, much of the reason for the longevity. Now, are you all from different places or all in one family? You're all pretty good writers, right?
I think they're over 18, so you can say what you wanted to say in the first place.
Well, let me tell you something. You can write any damn thing you want.
Just to answer your question from my standpoint, one of the people you mentioned was Bruce Lee. Before Batman started, it just was coincidental that I lived in the same complex that Bruce Lee lived in. And I was a black belt in karate, and he and I used to spar together.
Nice.
And when we did the scene on Batman, it was very important to the producers because the same executive producer, William Dozier, who produced Batman, was the one going to produce the Green Hornet. And that's why we brought Kato and, you know, and Williams onto the show to promote the show, that new episode. So anyway, long story short, they wanted us not to try to really fight, and we were both supposed to be really good guys. But I did fight with Bruce, you know, off camera, in real. And in fact, I guess a piece of trivia is Bruce Lee's first cinematic fight scene of his career was fighting me.
You know what I heard is that the Green Hornet and the Batman show, you had 2 fight scenes together, but Bruce Lee said, "There's no way I'm going to lose."
He didn't win.
And so they sent it to the writers, and they said, "Well, it's going to be a standoff." Is that what really happened?
Yeah, no, but in reality, I liked sparring with Bruce. He was a great athlete. I mean, you know, there are some people that talk in game, but this is a man that he trained 8 hours a day. And, you know, for those of you that remember him, and his son Brandon, I remember when Brandon was 6 months old and Linda, his wife, and Bruce and I would go down to Chinatown and have authentic Chinese dinner in Los Angeles. And because he was from Hong Kong, he knew everything to order. So it was really a great experience working with him.
And he could knock a lit cigarette right out of your mouth without you knowing it.
Oh.
That's how we became such good friends.
It's Rocky.
So professional.
Bert, you couldn't have the Batman.
The dogs calling.
Or at least the Green Hornet.
So we've had 6 incarnations
incarnations of Batman. And they've gotten darker and darker in tone as the series has progressed. But yet the television series never went that way. There was something fun and exuberant about it. Could you talk in perspective about what you think made that show so unique? Because it was different than anything else on television at the time in regard to it.
Can I say something? You know, this was a different time in history. Between the 1950s and the 1970s, there arose something called camp. Camp is really an exaggeration. But thereafter, things got darker, drearier, more depressing. Of course, we had a bunch of wars there going on, but oh boy, did we enjoy those 60s, didn't we?
Yeah, I think the 60s was a great period, and I think for our show, I mean, look, Warner Brothers has done a fantastic job with the Batman franchise, but they've appealed to different people, and you know, the theater market is different than the television market. We get a lot of young kids growing up, and our show, it was something for everybody. Adam and I played it very straight, so for kids, it was the hero worship, you know, of the characters, and then for the people who remember the comic book, there was the nostalgia for the adults, and for the teenagers and the college kids, which at that time was almost an impossible audience to capture. The double meanings and all the innuendos that Adam and I did really caught, and that's what became why I think Batman was so successful, because we appealed to everybody.
And just real quick, I mean, so much has been made too of the film incarnations of the Batsuits, the Robin outfits. What were they like back in the mid-60s? Were they comfortable for you, and what was the experience like at that time?
What do you want to know that for?
Horrendous. I used to call my tights the python pants because they strangled me to death. And I know working with Adam, we'd be long hours in that back cave. And of course, you know, my dear friend, I love him to death, but he looks cross-eyed in that mask. And if you've been under those hot lights for a long time, you're starting to melt. The slightest thing can make you start laughing. You just never stop laughing. But we got through it, and I'm sure Adam had some crazy things that I did that drove him nuts as well.
I think any actor who plays Batman or Robin or whatever, you know, probably wants to complain about the costume and its restrictions in certain areas.
Well, I hear you that your dresser had to have a hair dryer in order to keep everything dry and
I beg your pardon. This is the strangest thing you've ever said.
Well, it's in the history books.
You're wrong.
Remember the story?
Well, because, you know, actors complain about this. I just hope that I have the same 12-pack that Affleck has.
Well, my costume was very comfortable. It had a zipper down the back.
It was painted on you.
Licorice melted over me.
Great.
No, it was very comfortable.
I have a question for all three of you. Who was your favorite villain and what's your favorite episode?
For me, it was the first one, with Frank Gorshin as well. For the show, and it worked, really worked beautifully. And Frank was manic and wonderful as Riddler, and his moves. And to play opposite Frank was great for me, because I love that kind of on-the-edge, dangerous acting and improvisation, all these things you do.
Besides Frank, you had Burgess Meredith, you also had Cesar Romero. I mean, all three of them were incredible character actors for the villains that they played. Burgess Meredith came off of the alumni of Twilight Zone. How was it working with all three of them together?
Well, it was a terrific experience, wasn't it? I mean, for example, with Burgess Meredith, I loved it, because he was able to use that cigarette holder, and we'd stand face to face, and he'd let the smoke drift up under my cowl. Very irritating, but you see, these things work for an actor. Use the costume, make it work for you, make anything, all the little nuances, stuff off the wall, work for you. That's right, Catwoman.
Burgess said that this was the favorite role in his life. How many of them did he do with you?
I don't know, I lost count. Fred, are you there? How many did...
Burgess Meredith,
Burgess.
4 or 5, maybe?
Blu-ray, DVD,
11/11.
Warner's Home Entertainment.
Available November 11th.
11/11.
Coming up, we can finally release the date. 40 years I've been asked. And now I can say yes.
All right, this isn't a free-for-all. Just don't shout out questions.
Yeah.
You raise your hand.
It's an honor to watch the whole thing, just talk on this issue, so just have to get out. But what was the reaction when you saw this series in Blu-ray in high definition, and this is a trailer phenomenal?
Yeah, our reaction in seeing the question, it just knocked me out of my socks. I thought, this is incredible. And truly it is. I mean, it's the way Batman should be seen with the new DVDs. It will amaze you. You will be fascinated, titillated, maybe exonerated. I don't know.
Come right back there. With the GoPro. Go.
Were there any times while all of you were that you guys actually could not stand for characters anymore?
The question,
The question is, what day does the Blu-ray come out?
somebody's not paying attention.
The question is, did you ever reach a point where you didn't want to be your character?
Yes. A few months after we stopped filming, I thought, well, that's it for the career. I'm totally typecast. And, you know, you create a character that's memorable. I was lucky enough to do that. But you're typecast. And every time I went in to meet producers and people about doing a film, a wonderful film, then they would get together and say, oh no, we can't let Batman go to bed with her. You know what I mean? Leading lady. But those dinosaurs in Hollywood are now gone. And we go on. Isn't that wonderful? We just got out blast them.
Matt.
For Adam and Bert, one of the most thrilling parts of the show for the audience was the weekly death traps. Could you talk about your experience with those and anything that stands out?
Well, the cliffhangers?
The death traps themselves.
Oh, the worst.
The death trap.
Oh, they were all death-defying terrible. Oh, the scars. I have a sharp bite on my leg still. You know, it's amazing to mention that because it occurred to me.
Oiled in oil.
Oiled in oil. We got.
That's this big magnifying glass over you.
We got fried. We were fried. We were grilled.
Yes. The tigers.
Poor Bert, the tigers.
Yeah, that actually was an incredibly dangerous
He was
scene.
very courageous.
Well, I don't know about courageous or stupid. I think that's stupid.
I had to walk the plank with tigers.
I mean,
And I saw the guys throwing more raw meat.
no, they
to the tigers.
what happened was, on that shot, I was over 3 Bengal tigers. Real, they weren't pet tigers, they were movie tigers where they were somewhat controllable, but they were still wild.
No, they weren't controllable.
And what happened was, I was about 14 feet above them. I asked the trainers ahead of time what was their capability of jumping high, and they were able to jump 19 to 20 feet. I was hung over with my head over the end, my arms were tied to my side, and just to give you an idea, 10 feet above me, okay, they're below me, 10 feet above me was the camera crew in a steel cage. So you know that you look up there and you see them safe, and you look down, and what happened was, during the scene, the tigers were just really milling around. But the director, in his cage, was nice and safe, said to the trainers, can't you get him to do something? So in reality, they actually hung meat over my head to get them to jump up in my face. And I mean, I pulled against the restraining straps, and after the shot, they said, Bert, that was so realistic. Well, sure, I was scared to death.
Oh my God.
First show.
We're actually going to show a split screen of that a little later on tonight at the panel.
Nice.
It's magnificent. The tigers even look good. All right.
Yes, I have a question for Julie Newmar. What aspect about playing a villain did you enjoy the most?
hatching plots and schemes and deceptions. It's kind of a, I thought of it as a kind of black lace mentality. You see, Catwoman is to die under, of course, so, well, she could be your mother if she owned, if your mother owned a skateboard, or Catwoman, she was a dominatrix, one's dreams, perhaps, or S&M, which would stand for safely manipulated.
I never got that.
Research. Research.
Next. All right, here at the top.
Adam, you've returned to the world of Batman a couple times in the animated series. What has it been like for you to return to the world but not be Batman himself?
I'm not even sure what this means, but not Batman himself.
Well, he's played the Grey Ghost in the animated series in the 90s. He was Thomas Wayne in the later Batman series.
So he wants to know about the other times you played in Batman roles, but not in Batman, for Batman animated series and things like that.
Your life history.
These are really simple adjustments if you know what you're doing. No big deal, that's what they pay me for.
How about down here?
I write for a horror website. I wonder if anyone could remember a story about Vincent Price and tell us.
Yeah,
Sure. Well, go ahead, please.
Well, we had a scene, well, we had a lot of scenes during the this episode, but there was a scene I had actually talked about a little earlier where Adam as Batman and Vincent Price as, Egghead were having a confrontation, and Vincent Price had a chokehold around my neck, and the idea of the scene was that when they said roll camera, that he would take an egg and break it over my head, and then, and then do a second egg and break it over my head, and then he and Adam would have Batman, Egghead dialogue. And for some reason, both of them kept screwing up their lines. After about 9 takes, I had egg going down my back into my underwear, and it was so uncomfortable. So finally, when they got it right, I was originally supposed to just pick up an egg and throw it at Vincent Price, but I actually got a little upset, okay? So I picked up a dozen eggs, and I smashed it on his head so hard that the egg tilted over a little bit. That's a true story. You can see it in the show. You'll see his egg tilted right at the end of that scene.
But the whole crew started to throw eggs.
Oh, that's true. We had great egg fights because Adam and I had planned this. And just for the heck, every once in a while, when you're doing something and everything is so serious, and like I was 21, 22, and 23 when I did Batman. The youngest person on the set besides me was Adam, 37. Everybody else was like 45, 50, 60, and I had nothing against that, but they were the greatest, technical people you could ever have. But the point of it was, for me, like a kid, being on that set, serious every day, do this and do that, even though our show is funny, it's serious work that you have to be on time, you have to do this, you have to be in the right spot, that. So the long and short of it is to have a little fun. Boy, we threw those eggs, and we started throwing them at the crew, and then the crew realized that what we were doing, and they had tons of eggs. They became a huge egg fight. It was therapeutic.
It really broke the tension.
Yes, and the eggs.
Cool.
Straight back there in the red.
Thanks. With the license now being open to so many companies, how does it feel that all these new classic Batman TV series, like action figures from Mattel, NECA, and Hot Toys, how does it feel to see all these new product and your faces on them and how realistic they are compared to the 60s product?
I think it's totally fabulous, except for the goggle head. That was embarrassing.
I love them, and I must tell you something. The manufacturers who are putting out the products now have done such an incredible job. I have seen some of the skin textures of Adam and I in costume that, honestly, I've shown to people and they think of photographs. I mean, you can zoom in, you can see the texture, you can see the little cracks on the lips. I mean, so photorealistic. So I wish, like when I was a kid and you had toys to play with, they weren't very well realistic.
Yeah.
But the stuff today is fantastic, and I have to applaud Warner Brothers for finding the best
Just dress and undress them all day. It's just ridiculous.
Right here. Father, please.
Well, when I left the lot many times, especially toward the end of the show, some of the guys at the gate became my friends. And if I drove off with the trunk of my car slightly open, they would slip a little something in there occasionally.
You have a lot of toys, batarangs, bat rackets.
Yes, consequently, I have a lot of stuff. Now, if you'd like to buy a cape, you know, I have all of my original scripts, 120 with my own notes in them, and as part of the DVD, I believe I will be reading one of my scripts a little bit and showing some of the notes, just for fun.
Far corner over there in the green.
Julie, you look absolutely amazing. So I'd like to know your secret for looking so young, and I know you had a big birthday recently, so what's the best part about being 80 now?
Oh. Wow. You just get, something happens to you when you get younger and younger, but I was a ballet dancer. And so I was always sort of had that kind of posture and that kind of movement, and it made it especially easy to play a cat-like character. It was simply second nature. That's, I think, you know, when I was a little kid, I used to go to Griffith Park in Los Angeles, and I would ride on the carousel, and carousels go backward, they don't go to the right, they go the wrong way. And I would ride around, and every once in a while I would catch the brass ring. And that's what happens in your life, I think, when a character, and you make a perfect fit. And it just seems to happily stay in people's minds when they remember you as that character. So it has been a total blessing for me to have been in this series and play this character. I've been always very grateful for it.
Right here in the black shirt.
Thank you.
Thank you for the question.
This question is for all of you. I'm just wondering, with the legacy of the series itself, is there anything that you took away that you're really proud of that you've done with the series itself?
Took away?
In what respect?
With regard to any type of legacy, that's something that you're really proud of about the series, from a gut instinct type of thing.
Well, I think all of us are proud that we brought a lot of happiness to millions and millions of kids all across the world. That I think that our shows had some very positive things for kids. Even though it was funny for adults, there was scenes like, you know, I'd start to throw something down, Batman would say, "Oh, Robin, we can't litter," or "Buckle your seatbelt," or "Holy hygiene, Batman." I mean, there was a lot of good stuff in there, and I feel good about it because we made so many, and I believe hundreds of millions of people happy, and we gave them a positive outlook with a world that is becoming increasingly dangerous every single day. To have our show come out, especially now, is going to bring, I think, a wonderful breath of life and humor and fun and imagination and positive things for kids. So I'm really very proud of that.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Bert.
I'm right back here in the blue.
Thank you to all three of you for all of that happiness. Has it been sad for you on a personal level that the show has not been available on home video for all these years? It almost stands alone as the thing everybody has wanted for so long.
11/11.
I'll take that.
I think in reruns, you know, Batman has been on reruns. Yes, we had wanted the show to come out for a long time. That is probably the single most asked question. Is, you know, when is the show going to come out? And we honestly didn't know, but we're thrilled that it's coming out now. And in a way, it's actually wonderful that it comes out now because not only do they have all the adults bigger than we had even when we were prime time.
Very far back in the day.
Yeah, hi. I live in Tokyo, and I live in Tokyo, and in the 60s, the Batman TV show led to a huge boom in interest in Batman in Japan. And I'm wondering if you had any sense, Dave, or now, of the international interest in the show back in the day.
Did you have a sense of the international interest in the show?
Yes, yes. When I walked into a hotel room in Hong Kong and I was speaking in Chinese, I suddenly got an intimation that this thing was global. And Batman was either #1 or #2 with Lucy in China, for example, and other places as well. Look, I feel that we are the luckiest actors in the world, and I'm sure they agree, that we had a chance to create characters with longevity, characters that people love as they grow up, and as they get older, they have wonderful laughs with us. And like Bert said, I love to make people happy and bring laughter. You know, if you can't laugh at yourself and other people in situations, something's wrong. So let's all laugh at one another and ourselves and enjoy the new Batman.
All right, here with the Thor hat.
This series it's been one that has spanned generations. What do you think about the show that has made it stick not just with audiences from the 60s, but audiences today?
Well, I'm just hoping that I continue to span generations.
Good writing. Wonderful writing and great producing. And that's it.
Sure.
They spent a lot of money on the show. It cost quite a lot to produce. And they spent a lot of money on making the very first show. A great deal went into it. And it was quite an experiment. What were you about to say?
I was going to say, you know, it's funny. When something works, it really works. You know, I mean, people try so hard in this industry to make things that people enjoy, and sometimes they work and sometimes they don't. But in the case of what we did, I believe, it was so different than every other show in history, was that for the very first time, we actually put on the audience. In other words, instead of like a police show where it's always so serious, or a medical show and it's always about health and stuff, here we were playing bigger-than-life characters, which of course kids love things that are bigger than life, but we played it seriously, and we taunted the adult audiences with our innuendos, and everybody came away with something that they felt was special to them, very special to them. Like, oh, I see what's really going on, and yet the kids loved it, and it was bigger than life, and I think that's what really entertainment is, especially in your own living room. That is something that you know you couldn't do, but you could vicariously experience it through the actors. It's bigger than life.
No.
Hi, three of you are such phenomenal comedians. Was there ever a guest star on the show that really did the type of comedy you were going for?
Oh, you know. Yeah. John Collins. Little Blanket. Quite a few.
It was Talima's last show.
It was a very last show in her lifetime. But the secret of it was playing it very straight. It was, as a matter of fact, the comments of the head producer was straight, straight, straight. Do not play it for laughs. And the straighter you play it, you know, the harder you fall, the more silly you really are, the more ridiculous it really is. And that's the secret. You got to be absolutely serious.
Well, you have to know when it's funny, and you have to be funny. You have to think funny. And you have to have comedy timing. It's essential. But, you know, you can't wink at the camera. You can't let anyone think that you think you're funny. You just have to appreciate the material and play it funny. You know, if Batman sees Jill St. John being burned to a crisp in that little, whatever the thing was, and he looks over the side and lets a little tear come from under his cowl. Now, she was a go-go dancer in the show. I was supposed to say, what a way to go. I said, what a way to go. Nobody understood. They said, what the hell's that guy doing? What is he doing? I had to fight for weeks to do it my way. But then they realized this kid is doing something that's maybe going to work.
How about back there with the My Little Pony shirt?
It's an anecdotal occasion, but you talked earlier about the lost art of camp, and I wanted to know what you guys made of the Joel Schumacher film Batman and Robin, which is perhaps not as good at tone, but basically a remake of your series in many ways.
I don't even think about it. Honestly, guys. I mean, they do their thing and we did ours. Now, if they want the Dark Knight, the Bright Knight, the thing is, they're all talented. And the production has been incredibly good. And the money spent, and the things available to produce those movies. And we just had a few costumes, some wonderful actors, slap the makeup on, and think funny, and go to it. That's simple. It's no big deal.
The very furthest corner in the check stack.
So 45 years later, we're still talking about this Batman series. Do you think that's a testament to what you guys did? Yes. It is, and I'll tell you something else, but it was a combined effort of the writers.
Yeah, sure, it's all collaborative.
We had the, I mean, you know, there was talk earlier about how beautiful the new DVD is with, you know, the HD and all of that. We had probably the best industry camera, the best lighting. We had 80 men on our crew. I mean, our show was at the time, like so extravagant that, as I understood at the time, 20th Century Fox was losing almost $250 million a week just to make it. It was so state of the art. So I think it's because everything worked. The talent worked hard, everybody worked hard, and we made a successful, wonderful show. But there's no reason that 500 years from now, people will still want to see it. I believe that.
And there's another factor. We just got lucky. Luck. Very important. You better be ready.
What do we got here? We've got the gentleman right there.
Bert, what was your favorite fully flying Batman?
You know, a lot of kids ask me that question.
Only underwear.
No, I didn't say that. You know,
only guacamole.
They've seen
Only sudden incapacitations. Only Second Amendment.
Only raspberries.
Only false front.
You see,
Only
we are your environment.
Yes. And you have excellent taste, I will say that. All of the stuff that I said was originally written by the writers. Unfortunately, not all of the writers got it. And Adam and I really had to go to work in some of the shows because we didn't want to lose that special chemistry. And I've got to share something with you, and I think that this might be something you don't know. And that is that besides being actors that did our job, Adam and I have a unique chemistry that when we work together. And in a lot of places when we would go and people just look at us and start laughing. I mean, we do both of us think a little differently. I would like to think it's more perceptive as opposed to more insane, but we do have a very good friendship, and he brings out a wild side in me, and together we kind of control what we did as best as we could do it. But in terms of the answer to your question, I didn't have a single one, but where we did have ones that didn't work, I got a chance to, you know, to change it. Like there was a scene where I thought that Batman got killed scene on the pier, you know what I mean? Because he was running around that grapevine. You know, some days you just can't get rid of a bomb. You know, and when I thought he was dead, I said, "Holy heart attack, Batman!" You know, but we had great stuff, and I have loved. I want to say this. I've loved working with this man. He is one of my dearest friends. He has fought everybody to keep that character during the series the right, and the two of us have fought so hard. Whenever we would make appearances, even in costume, we would never take off our masks. We would never in any way degrade the character for kids. When we were in costume, we were those characters. And Adam has done the most fantastic job, and in my opinion, no disrespect to anybody, there is only one Batman, and that's Adam West.
I'd like to talk about the Bat computer. I always thought it was like so silly to have questions or clues that you inputted into this computer, and you would get the answer. But the other day, I'm like, son of a bitch, we all have Bat computers now, with like Google and just whatever, Wikipedia. At times, did that seem like it's an absurd concept to just input this fake data into this machine, a little piece of paper spat out? What was that like? Especially in regards to us doing this all day long with our phones. We all just sit here constantly looking up stuff.
The absurdities that the show presented were remarkable. I mean, there are some Batman versions, I suppose, that are somewhat grotesque. Our Batman was maybe bizarre to an extent, and yet very human. You know, Batman is a little crazed, but he's vulnerable, and he's real. He's a human being, and he has all the elements that you possess, and you, and you, and you, but he, because of his drive, his ambition to fight crime and avenge his parents' death, he took more than better care of himself. He trained himself mentally and physically to the point where he was great, but he was still vulnerable. That's the thing, and we all know this. Now, when we do it in a comedic way, you adults can laugh along with us, and the kids understand all that, and they keep watching until they grow up, and then they let their kids watch.
Time for a couple more questions about Batman, the complete television series, which is available for pre-order right now at your favorite retailer. Right.
Was there ever a moment that you looked at some stories that you just could not take seriously before filming, that you just couldn't wrap your head around?
Was there ever a series or a script or a story that you really couldn't take seriously?
Well, I never took any of them seriously. But you have to play it, as Julie mentioned, you have to play it seriously with the right comedic timing. And you have to know what's funny and you have to think funny. But never let the audience think that you think you're funny. Does that make any sense?
Yes.
No. I can give you an example if you want. There was an example of an episode with Yvonne Craig who played Batgirl. And we had brought Batgirl into the Batcave to see our crime-fighting paraphernalia. And so there was this scene.
This could be dangerous.
Get a grip on yourself. There was a scene where we were going to leave the Batcave in the Batmobile. Adam driving, as Adam as Batman driving, me as Robin on the right side, and Yvonne Craig as Batgirl sitting in between us. And the idea was we were going to give her this bat gas, and because we didn't want her to know where we had our Batcave. So the scene starts with one shot where we had given her the bat gas. Now she's knocked out, and so to speak, and we're about to take off. And I have a little bit of dialogue, just very little bit of dialogue between Adam and I, where I say, you know, Batman, Batgirl is really very beautiful. And he has the lines as well, Robin, I'm, glad that you noticed, and something like that. Well, my dear friend Adam is really good, and he rarely makes mistakes. So to go through 14 takes of making a mistake, I knew something was coming. You just, now you get, what happens is that these directors, they all are on time schedules. And if you only have so much time to get it, if you don't, I mean, he's going to get in trouble, the production goes behind, money is lost, all this, it gets real serious real quick. So I knew he got to the point where he was now, had them, where they were going to use this next take no matter what, right? They're going to do it. And that's his brilliance. He knows how far he can stretch the elastic. Anyway, so what happened was, here's the 15th take. And I said, gosh, Batman, that girl is really beautiful. And Adam has this line, well, Robin, I'm glad you noticed. It shows the oncoming thrust of manhood. Now, I could hardly keep from laughing. I had tears coming down my mask, trying to keep a straight face. The producers, everybody, they were so anxious that they didn't notice it. They didn't really pay attention because they were in trouble. About a week later, when the censors came, and we got called into the office and got chewed out, for doing that. But something, that was the kind of way we dangerously made our show. Adam and I had a pact where we knew we could go so far, and we'd stretch it a little bit farther for all those people that enjoyed the innuendos.
All right, one more. No? Right here.
We've talked about all the great people that were on the show with you. Was there anybody that was asked to be on the show that declined?
You know who Frank Sinatra wanted to be on the show? Do you know what character he wanted to play? The Joker. Yeah, everyone, big stars wanted to be on the show, and people from movies did not work in television. But their kids said, oh, I want to go on the set. I want to meet Batman. I want to meet him. And big stars would come down and think, that was, oh my goodness, and they'd beg to be on the show, to have them write special material for them. And a lot of times they ended up in that walkway where the windows open up. What do you call that?
The window walk.
It's not called that. It's called something.
Well, I can call it that if I want.
Yes. Describe how you did that. Describe how they built the set.
We put the building on its side at an angle that was navigable by Bert and me. And then we kept down and pretend like we were walking up the side of the building.
And they would hold the back of your...
Yeah, well, the cape's just for gravity. They put some fishing line on the cape. Stretched it out.
And they put this house down on the guest star so that he would kind of pop up like this, you see. And he was always at some weird angle looking at you, right?
And these guys had to wait in that box, sometimes for an hour and a half. And then they'd pop out. You never knew who it would be. Sammy Davis Jr. even.
That's going to wrap it up for us, guys. We are heading out. We got to go over and run a panel in Hall H. I hope you guys can get in. It's going to be a blockbuster, great footage. You can shoot them right here, right now, but there's no autographs, no storm on stage. A couple of shots that we've got to run, all right?
Finally, I got the turtles where I want them. Hey Shredhead, you know what's our favorite time of the year? Spring, as in spring into action.